Friends, eh? Gather round, because today we're diving headfirst into the wacky world of Donald Trump and his insatiable desire to make headlines, even if it means conjuring up fantasies about annexing Canada. The man who once mistook a hurricane's projected path for a Sharpie doodle is back at it again, this time with his sights set on our neighbours to the north. Now, you might be thinking, surely you're exaggerating. No one could be daft enough to think they can just annex a whole country. And normally, I'd agree with you. But this is Donald Trump we're talking about, a man who seems to operate under the assumption that international relations are just a real-life game of risk. The idea that America could just gobble up Canada like a hungry moose going after a maple-glazed donut is, to put it mildly, bonkers. This is the world we live in, where a former US president casually floats the idea of annexing a peaceful democratic nation like it's no big deal. So buckle up, buttercups, because we're about to take a wild ride through the minefield of constitutional law, international diplomacy, and the sheer absurdity that is the Trumpian worldview. Let's start with the basics, shall we? The United States Constitution, that hallowed document that lays out the rules of the land, is pretty darn clear about how new states are admitted to the Union. And spoiler alert, it doesn't involve the president going all "you're mine now" on a whim. The power to admit new states rests solely with Congress, that motley crew of senators and representatives who somehow manage to agree on the time of day, let alone something as monumental as expanding the country's borders. Article 4, Section 3 of the Constitution clearly states that new states may be admitted by the Congress into this union. Notice how it says Congress, not President. That's not a typo, folks. The Founding Fathers, in their infinite wisdom, decided that maybe, just maybe, giving one person the power to unilaterally annex entire countries might not be the best idea. Okay, so let's say for the sake of argument that Congress somehow, miraculously, decided to entertain Trump's ludicrous annexation idea. Do you think Canada would just roll over and say, "Sure, why not? Take us, we're yours"? Yeah, me neither. You see, there's this little thing called national sovereignty. It's kind of a big deal, especially for a proud and independent nation like Canada. According to a recent poll, a whopping 87% of Canadians oppose annexation. Even Canadians who hate shoveling snow in the winter or Celine Dion's music aren't lining up to become the 51st state. So unless Trump's planning on rigging an election on a scale that would make Putin blush, it's safe to say that Canada isn't going anywhere. Now you might be asking yourself, where on earth did Trump get this crazy idea from? And the answer, my friends, is a place I like to call Trumpistan. A magical land where facts are optional, logic is outlawed, and the laws of reality are more like loose suggestions. He sees international relations as a zero-sum game, where any deal that doesn't personally benefit him is a loss. Remember when he tried to buy Greenland? Or when he slapped tariffs on Canadian goods because he thought they were somehow cheating the US? This is a man who seems to operate on pure impulse, driven by a potent cocktail of ego, ignorance, and a complete disregard for the consequences of his actions. And unfortunately, those consequences often extend far beyond his own Twitter feed. Let's say for a moment that we entertain Trump's fantasy. Let's imagine a world where Canada is suddenly and inexplicably absorbed into the United States, becoming the 51st state. What would that look like? Well, my friends, it wouldn't be pretty. First of all, the geopolitical fallout would be catastrophic. Canada is a member of the Commonwealth, a group of 56 independent and sovereign states. Annexation by the US would trigger Canada's automatic expulsion, severely damaging relations with key allies like the United Kingdom, Australia and India. Then there's the small matter of NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement. With Canada no longer a sovereign nation, the agreement would collapse, throwing the economies of all three countries into chaos. And what about the military implications? NORAD, the joint US-Canadian Air Defense Command, would cease to exist. NATO allies, already wary of American reliability after Trump's previous antics, would be left wondering if they could trust the US to uphold its commitments. In short, the annexation of Canada would be a disaster of epic proportions, a move that would destabilize the region, alienate allies and plunge both countries into turmoil.